It is.
I have chills.
So like I said, in my parents' basement, I'm going to school full time, pregnant with a third kid, and I have this real estate coach. And I didn't really tell anyone in my family that I got a real estate coach, first of all, because I had to cancel a class to be able to pay for it. I'm not gonna get into negatives, but because it was a great decision, but I just knew I needed some coaching. And I knew I would make the money back. So again, he teaches me, like, let's start putting out some signs to people that are in foreclosure, possibly behind on their mortgage payments. The first people that called me, it was a duplex in East Hartford, Connecticut, okay? So not the city of Hartford, outside of Connecticut, it's called East Hartford. And they're behind on their mortgage payments, and they have a tenant in the upstairs that has not paid. So the owners live downstairs, the tenants live upstairs, and they have not paid, and the owner downstairs is losing the house. So this house is not making them any money. So it was actually a very easy sale, because again, the mortgage payments on the duplex, I think, were, again, around the example I was saying, like maybe $1,500. And I flipped that contract to my coach, and not my coach, a friend of my coach, you know, because he had a whole network, and it was $5,000. And it was like I made that money in like a little over 30 days of starting. I just kind of went for it. You know, he told me what to say. I said it to him, you know, said the script, hey, we can help you. We get the contract. Again, so the person's behind on their mortgage payment. We're like, okay, if we can take over these mortgage, I'm just negotiating the same way he told me. If we can take over these mortgage payments and we can show you, we'll buy the home subject to. And again, that's a whole long thing that I won't necessarily get into on this video, but subject to is when you buy the home and you leave the mortgage in place. So we did that, and he paid me $5,000, and there was a ton of investors that wanted subject twos, because this allowed them to not have to come up with all of the money up front, and they could start making money on the property before ever having to buy it. So I got a ton of wholesale deals doing that, just finding people behind on their mortgage payments, being the person that they spoke to, you know, connecting with them, hey, telling them my story too, like, hey, I went through foreclosure, here's what happens, you know, the sheriff comes, they take all your stuff, they throw it outside, you know, this is not really what you want, let's find a better solution for you. And so many people didn't see me as this vulture or someone trying to, you know, get their property for pennies on the dollar. They really saw me as someone that was there to help, and we really were able to help a lot of people. And like I said, I was able to pick up a lot of those fees and help myself out of my parents' basement.
But it came from helping people.
Yes.
So tell me another property example.
So I had another one like that, not that recently. Probably this was actually the more recent last wholesale deal that I did. This was in Dallas, and this lady was a hoarder though. And actually, I'll be honest with you, you get a lot of, just being honest, you get a lot of hoarder houses or people that have not left their home in a long time, a lot of houses that may not smell very well and things like that when you're doing real estate investing. But this is where the money is. So I had this lady, and she just had stuff stacked up everywhere. And the way that I was able to get her under contract, of course, telling her, you know, you're behind on your mortgage payment, you don't want to go into foreclosure, but she didn't really care about that because she was a little bit older. And it was to the point where she really didn't care if her credit was ruined. She really cared if someone would help her move that stuff out of her home. And it's funny because I've had both situations where I've had hoarders where that was anxiety for them and they were having like a psychological issue, and that's why they didn't want to move their stuff out. But this lady was kind of ready, and as long as I gave her and we negotiated some money for her to help, you know, help somebody help her move those stuff out of the house, she was willing to give the house up and move on. So it really, again, it comes back to talking to the person and connecting with them and finding out like what their issue is. A lot of times it may start off financial with them being behind on their payment, but then there's some underlying, you know, issue or problem that they're having.
What are other examples of ways people can invest in property besides wholesaling? Or do you only teach wholesaling?
No, so obviously wholesaling, and then fixing and flipping really comes from wholesaling as well. So you're finding someone with a property problem, and then instead of flipping the contract to someone for a fee, which is wholesaling, you would fix the property up. And you could fix it up to, you know, to a really nice level and then sell it. Or you could fix it up to a level where it's a tenant. You know, you don't have to put granite countertops. You just put, you know, durable countertops, and now you have a tenant. You have a rental property. So it really, you want rental properties. I always say, you know, in real estate, you are going to want rental properties because that's income for your business. That's cash flow. You can leverage the property and loan, you know, borrow money against it. It's an asset you can sell for a lump sum of cash. So there's just so much that you can do in real estate, but you are going to want to hold some of that real estate and have rental properties.
I love the rental property idea.
Yeah.
That's a Great,
Yeah.
great.
And now I do Airbnbs, which I absolutely love, where we just furnish them, put the towels and the plates and everything, and then we, instead of renting them out unfurnished for a monthly basis, we rent them on a nightly basis. And I've, 3x'd my income from long-term tenants to going to the short-term rental market.
Wow.
Yeah. So I could talk about Airbnbs, because that was one of the reasons we even moved to Florida, was to do the Airbnbs. And again, still finding people, but instead of, again, finding foreclosures, what I do to make a lot of money on the Airbnbs is we find a lot of landlords that no longer want to be landlords, or maybe a landlord that had to evict a tenant. That's low-hanging fruit, because then they give us those properties and we're like, okay, we'll rent the property from you, we'll furnish it, and we'll guarantee the rent. Now I didn't even have to buy the property to start making money off of it.
How do you find the landlords?
So people that have done an eviction. So remember, that's public records. When you evict someone, that's in public records. So a lot of this data is absolutely free. Foreclosures, remember, if they have a notice of default, that's in public records. If they're filing for divorce, that's in public records. Bankruptcy is public records. Evictions, public records. So a lot of this information is absolutely free. Or you could buy a list.
Thanks so much for being here and watching that video. And can I ask you to please subscribe to our channel so you can find out when we're posting new content. You'll be alerted right away when we do. To share this with people you think might benefit from the information, and certainly it helps us if you like the video. So if you like what you just saw, go ahead and hit that like button. And again, thank you so much for being here with me right now.